Today I'm going to talk about why dumb people get results a lot faster, gain their goals a lot faster, or achieve their goals a lot faster. And I'm going to give you a rundown of my personal journey and basically how I was able to get 10K profit and scale to 10 to 20K months while being an absolute dumbass, right? And how you can probably get there a lot faster, okay? So yeah, just make sure to take this seriously, close all the other tabs, and just focus on this video, okay? Because I'm going to talk about what the most important variables are in order to get the outcome. And just so you know, it's not about being an expert, it's not about being a master at what you do. But yeah, either way, let's get into it.
All right, welcome. So this video is going to be about why dumb people achieve their goals 10 times faster. And I will use myself as an example as a dumbass. All right. So what I want to do is I want to kind of guide you through like my personal journey and kind of stack the elements that I believe have contributed to the end results or not contributed. So that you can take this and just implement it for yourself so you know what to focus on, what is important, and what is actually not that important, okay? Before we dive into it, if you have no idea who I am, my name is Belman Volk. I'm a 24-year-old online entrepreneur. Long story short, like I used to do judo professionally in Belgium, so I was like 2 times national champion. Decided to stop that, went into like business, quit university, quit college, started an ecom brand. I turned over 30,000 euros with like fitness equipment for at home. It's called Falcon Fit. The only problem was I didn't know revenue didn't equal profit, so I lost 8,000 euros there. Then after that, I started copywriting and had my first. That's where I made my first 10K profit, like net profit. And then after that, I co-founded an agency called 8 Weapons and scale that to 10 to 20K per month. Now, obviously, like these are just like, it's just so you know that I'm not like talking complete shit out of my ass and stuff. Yeah, knowing this, let's get into it, okay? So my personal journey. Back when I was like basically a teenager, I remember when I was like I was you could call it like a professional athlete. So I was training 2 times a day. But for some reason, I was always trying stuff. I was always like, I'd had this thing where I would like start theme pages. I had like a travel page. Maybe I can actually pop it up on the screen so you can see. I had a travel page. I remember I had some, print on demand pages as well. I remember I had a fan page of like How I Met Your Mother. I don't know if you guys know that show, but actually still one of my favorite shows to be honest with you. Do page. But none of them actually worked. And the reason why I don't think it worked was because I didn't have the belief that it could work. I was just kind of like playing around with things, right? So I didn't have like a full-fledged belief that I would make it work, right? I had no vision either. It was nothing, right? It was just random stuff trying that I was like seeing on Instagram. I was seeing like cool pages, and I was like, man, like I can do that. But I really didn't have a uh, the conviction that I would like build a page to like 10K, 100K followers and stuff like that. So I never actually took enough action and stuck with it, right? So that's why you see belief here, you see action, but they're kind of like half-assed, if I'm being honest with you. So obviously it never worked, right? If I stuck with it, it could have like led somewhere for sure, but I didn't believe it. And that's why I didn't really take action on it, right? Because I believe that action is actually rooted in your belief, and your belief is rooted in your thoughts, right? What kind of thoughts are running through your mind? That is what actually forms what you believe, right? So if you allow, um, thoughts of negativity or whatever, thoughts of insecurity to kind of roam your mind way too much, that really influences your beliefs. And this works both ways, right? This works, um, to the negative side, but if you use it well, you can also use it to the positive side, right? And we'll get into that in a little bit. So that was the theme pages phase. Then shortly after that, I went into print on demand, right? POD, print on demand. And what this actually means, oh yeah, my bad. The end results of theme pages, nothing, okay? Just so you know. Then after, go into print on demand, okay? What this means is that you design t-shirts and clothing that is basically like drop shipping with like clothes, where a company prints the clothes only when you sell them, right? So you make like an online store with like cool t-shirt designs and whatever, and whenever you sell one, the company will actually print it and send it to the customer, right? And you have platforms like this, like on Amazon and stuff like that. So I was trying that, but again, I didn't actually believe I could do it, right? So because of that lack in belief, there was a lack of action, right? The only difference here was that I had a little bit of knowledge, right? Because I was watching like a couple of YouTube videos on it. So I had a little bit of knowledge. That's why I implemented a little bit more, um, I believed a little bit more and I took a little bit more action than I did here because I had a little bit more knowledge, right? So I was a little bit more confident, but still, to be honest, nothing, right? There was no result. Right? I'll put the pages on the screen, right? It's terrible. You'll quickly notice why it didn't really turn out well. Anyway, the next thing was e-commerce, right? And this is where things kind of took a change. And the reason why was that I became way more confident when I started that e-commerce brand, right? I I um, I believe what it was that my mind was just I was just kind of like hyping myself up a lot, right? So when you have like these negative spirals where you're like breaking yourself down and you're like, oh no, you can't do it, you can't do it, you can't do it, and then eventually like you don't even take any action, right? Because what's the point? But around this time, I was so sick of like being an athlete, um, and not because I hated judo or anything, but I just like it felt so futile to me because you have like um, the ultimate goal obviously is like European champion, world champion, Olympic champion, right? And to be honest with you, I couldn't care less. It sounds so weird, but I couldn't care less. And I was very talented, but I didn't care. But I had all my goals written down. I would have like, I want this penthouse, I want this car, I want this, that, and that. And then I'm like, oh yeah, 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 right. I need to like with a judo goal as well. I'm an athlete. Okay, like a European champion. Yeah, cool. And that would be the last thing I thought about, right? But around this time, I was hyping myself up so much that like, nah, like I want to make money, I want to make money, I want to make money, I can do this, etc., etc. I was hyping myself up so much that my belief got so much stronger. And this is where I took kind of a leap, and I bought like a course for e-commerce. This is like the first course I actually bought because I actually like I wanted to buy courses, but I just like couldn't afford it, or like my dad because I was young back then, like I was a teenager, so my parents didn't want to give me the money and stuff, which obviously makes sense. And yeah, but this wasn't offered, and I could actually afford. And I took that leap of faith, and because I had such high confidence and conviction that I would make it work, I was so motivated, I'll call it like that, right? That I took action like a motherfucker. I took action so hard. It was insane. And I didn't have much knowledge, right? I had a little bit more knowledge, but I didn't have much at all, right? If you think about it from like, if I look back. And still, the results was 30,000 in revenue, right? This is an 18, 19 years old, first business. I know. I mean, of course, it turned out to be a failure, but still, I had like, I think over 1,000 orders, right? Over 1,000 strangers bought my product online, right? Which is pretty cool. And I had like service satisfaction of like 9.5 or something like that. It was really, really good. So people actually loved the product, got great feedback. It just like wasn't making any profit, right? That was the issue. So this business died. Um, yeah, you can see like this is just belief, action, and a little bit of knowledge, right? A little bit more in here. I was actually following a structure. I was following a course. But look, like, boom, like I made something happen here, right? And I was not an expert. I was not a master. Not at all. But still, so let's take this failure and let's look at the next thing, right? Copywriting, right? So I did the ecom thing, right? I actually learned so much, right? I learned a little bit of copywriting already, right? Because I had to like write my own descriptions, I had to write my own content, etc., etc. I learned a little bit of design. So I this confidence kind of transferred very, very quickly into copywriting. So that was like easy. Um, I had a little bit more knowledge because I actually had a mentor. That was kind of what made a big shift here. Because I had someone I could actually like kind of bounce my ideas on or my thought process and stuff like that. And actually get one-on-one feedback. That was actually a big change. But I would say another very, very important factor, which is why copywriting did so much better than e-commerce, because I already had the belief, already had the action, and I had a little bit more knowledge, sure. But the big factor from my perspective, if I look back, was the vision, right? I had a very, very clear vision of what I wanted to achieve and how I wanted my life to look like. And you may have heard about this a lot, like, the law of attraction stuff and all that kind of stuff. I don't believe necessarily in that. If you just think about it, it will just manifest itself into your life. That's not really how it works. How it actually works is that if you if you overwhelm your mind with specific thoughts, you will form specific beliefs, and those beliefs will compel you to take specific actions. And then from those actions, results flow, right? That's kind of how it works. So because you are very clear on this vision and you're thinking about it so much, and you're basically almost acting like that's your life. That is how you make decisions. That is how you take action, right? So then you just make it happen almost like on autopilot, right? So that was why I believe I was able to make that first 10K profit. And not only that, but I just literally moved from Belgium into a Thailand mansion. And I'm not saying that is a financially responsible decision. Absolutely not. But they had like a vision board, let's say, right? And almost to the T, I made it happen. I made everything happen. It was so crazy. Um, which, yeah, brings me into the next point, right? Because this is where things seemingly were going well, but actually things were kind of going down, right? And let me explain what I mean by that. So I still had the belief, I was still taking tons of action, but instead of copywriting, because copywriting is more like of a solidified skill, I don't know how an isolated skill. Marketing is way more broad, right? Marketing is an entire department of a company. Copywriting is just one part of marketing, right? So the knowledge gap became a lot bigger. Um, However, again, I'm like this is I want this to like hit home a lot, but still, we scaled to 10 to 20K months by having like pretty average as knowledge. We had basically no idea what we were doing, right? We had a little bit of an idea, but not much. And I'll tell you, like, the vision became quite unclear to me. So I just had belief and taking massive action, right? And boom, 10, 20K months, right? the problem with this is that I created a life that I didn't want, right? So I was making a lot of poor decisions. I kind of destroying my life how I actually wanted it to be because I forgot the vision, right? So belief and action, they will get you very far. They will get you extremely far, right? Bro, I would even say you can make millions just by believing you can do it and just by taking massive action, right? You can make millions if you give yourself enough time. However, it is very likely that you'll be kind of depressed when you get there. And I think that's what happens to a lot of people because you'll hear these stories, right, of um, these billionaire people, millionaire people, executives that are absolutely miserable. And I think this is what kind of happens. They don't have that vision clear for them what they actually want their life to be like. And that's kind of where you fuck up. It's not just about having money. No. Don't make money the center, right? That's what I've learned from my personal experience. Don't make money the center. Make the lifestyle the center. Imagine what you want your life to look like. How do you want to spend your time? Who do you want to have around you? All these questions are way more important than how much money you have in your bank account, right? Um, so yeah, and it also makes it a lot easier, like to make proper decisions, right? Um, but like, even though I ended up somewhere I really didn't want to be, we were still able to make 10 to 20K months, like not knowing much at all and having no vision just by believing and taking action, right? I hope that, like, to me at least, I'm looking at this, I'm like, wow, like, this is so important, you know? And, to kind of like, what's the word? Just to end, round up my personal journey, right? Because I continued in this marketing journey, and here everything was seemingly going well, right? Like, like making all this money, like living this cool lifestyle, etc., etc. But um, when I got to a place where I realized, like, oh shit, this is not really where I want to be, um, I started to my thoughts started to become a lot more negative, and you see the losses too much, your focus completely changes, and I kind of deteriorated, so my belief really suffered, right? And when your belief suffers, at least that's what I've been seeing from my experience the last 1 2 years. When your belief suffers, like, I didn't believe in the agency anymore. I didn't really believe in the vision of the agency, right? Or like where we were going. So my action, like, deteriorated as well. I wasn't really like working extremely hard. I was just got like a little bit more lazy. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that I was like not, sitting in my couch not doing anything. I was still working, but not nearly as hard I was working here, right, in these three. And the funny thing is, this is the point where I actually had the most knowledge, right? This is absolutely insane. Like, I had the most knowledge here, right? However, the results don't match that, right? Results actually deteriorated, right? So we went like below 10K, especially in terms of profit. So vision is still far away. Um, even though we had the knowledge, still business deteriorated, right? And kind of like felt directionless. And I just want to show how unimportant the knowledge part actually is, um, and how important it is to have that positive feedback loop of your thoughts in your mind that will feed into your beliefs and your actions, right? And if you have that vision, right, then you will, like, if you give yourself enough time, you will end up there, right? Not even if you're not an expert, even if you're not a master, yes, having the proper knowledge will help you get there faster, but only if you have belief and action first. If you have knowledge, but you don't believe in it, you don't believe in yourself, so you're not taking any action, it doesn't matter how much you know. You could be you could be a Nobel Prize winner. right? You could be like a crazy, super smart scientist, whatever. If you do not believe that you can make $1 million, you are not going to take the actions required to make that $1 million. You're just not, right? And you're just going to be intellectually, taking yourself out of those situations, right? So to conclude all of this, what I believe you need to truly succeed, and this is from my current perspective from going all through all those things. I believe first and foremost, you need to have that positive loop of thoughts that will form your beliefs. That those beliefs will help you to take massive action, right? You need to believe in it. If you don't believe in it, then you need to do something else that you actually do believe in, right? So, for example, for me, um, I didn't believe in the agency. I didn't believe in the direction the agency was going in. That vision of the agency did not align with mine. So I had to pivot, right? So right now I pivoted into essentially what I'm doing right now, right? And I wholeheartedly believe that if I give myself enough time, that I will be extremely, extremely successful in this. And I hope to bring a lot of people together. I hope to help a lot of you guys to get out of that kind of rut, figure out where you want to go, and get there crazy fast, right? That is what I want to do, and that is what I'm extremely passionate about. And I believe, right, that I will make this happen. And that's why it's way easier for me to take massive action in that point, right? When it comes to knowledge, again, I don't think you need to be an expert. I don't think you need to be a master at all. All you need is a little bit of direction. So if you just get what you can afford, to be honest with you, if you can afford mentorship, right? Like financially, you can afford that, get it, right? But only if you have belief in action. If you don't believe it, that you can do it, if you're not already taking action, don't do it. It's useless. You will just throw money on a problem, which is not the actual problem, right? The problem is probably because you're doing the wrong thing. You don't actually believe in it, or your mind is just fucked, right? So I do believe in mentorship. I do believe in courses and all that kind of stuff, but only if you have belief in action, right? And then here, just do as much as you can afford, right? But like a course also works. YouTube videos also work, but it'll just take a little bit longer, which is fine. It's fine, right? Give yourself time. It's okay. This is it's like Alex Hormozy says this all the time, right? It's not a sprint. It's a marathon, right? The point is to stick around long enough, to win, right? It's not about it's not really about like competing with others. It's more about like having the stamina to keep going, right? Sometimes you'll have to make some pivots and stuff like that, but just stay in the game, right? That's what it's all about. And yeah, if you don't have the money to afford mentorship or one-on-one coaching or whatever, just get a course, just follow YouTube videos. They will get you a extremely long way if you have belief in action, right? But um, I would recommend, highly, highly, highly recommend, you do not do any of this before having your vision, right? Because if you do um, believe and you take a lot of action and you buy courses and stuff like that, if you buy the courses and all that kind of stuff, you buy the mentorship, you buy all kinds of stuff, you consume all kinds of content, if you do not know where you actually want to be at the end of it, if you don't know what you actually want your life to look like, what you want to be doing every day, what you want to be spending your time on, who you want to be spending it with, where you want to be, if you don't have all of these things clear, you will very, very likely end up in a situation where you do not want to be. You make the money that you said you want to make, right? You make as much money as you believe is possible for you, but you will be miserable because it doesn't matter how much money you make, right? Because you don't have that vision clearly, you will not be spending your money properly in a way that serves your mission, like actually makes you fulfilled, right? It'll go nowhere, right? And I'm saying that from my personal experience. Maybe you guys are a lot more financially disciplined than me, but I believe these things, that is what will get you like a life worth living, right? Um, so yeah, my goal was basically just to kind of handle that objection of like, I need to be an expert or I need to be like a master or whatever. You do not. Like, absolutely not. You can be a complete dumbass and you can get so extremely far. I did, right? Look at this again. Bro, like here, I made 30,000 in, oh, what, what I said? 30,000 in revenue. I was an absolute dumbass, right? Copywriting. I was an absolute dumbass, right? Even here, 10, 20K months. I was an absolute dumbass. Like, truly. Like, to a certain degree, I had no idea what I was doing. I was very irresponsible as well. But the results were there just because that vision was not clear. And here, the vision was not very good. I'll tell you that. Because this was like the Tate time. But yeah, and he like you have all the knowledge. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You know. Anyway, like I feel like I'm rambling right now. But I hope this was valuable. I hope this gave some type of insights into how you can implement this in your life. How you this will make the path a little bit clearer for you. I hope. If it did, please do leave a comment, like the video, subscribe, do all those things. And if you have suggestions or thoughts, do leave them in the comments. That would be very, very helpful so I know where you're at and how I can help you better um, in terms of your situation. But anyway, appreciate you for watching. See you in the next one.